All right, we got some good speakers here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for showing up to Kingsbridge. We have with us today the Kingsbridge Armory, right? It's going to be the economic engine of the West Bronx. And we want to thank, of course, Senator Chuck Schumer, New York Senior Senator.
Hello, everybody.
I would say he brings home the bacon, but I heard he's vegetarian now, so.
No,
The carrots,
no gluten.
no gluten. And of course, my colleague in Congress, Richie Torres, who's a great congressional partner. We work very well together in making sure we bring the resources to both our district. We have Council Member Pierina Sanchez and, of course, Oswald Feliz. And we have Jan Oliver from the MTA, as well as the MTA is here today, as well. And Quamel is an advocate for the MTA accessibility of a subway station, Quamel Arroyo. And of course, we have also with us Michael Colota from the FTA, the Federal Transportation Agency. $156 million, all right, federal funding secured to ensure ADA accessibility to 5 transit stations in the Bronx and Manhattan. 3 of them are in my district, 2 of them are in Richie's district.
All of them are in my district.
All of them are in Chuck Schumer's district, including the ones in Jersey. And so we're here to celebrate the funding that came through from the Bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act, which was a tremendous initiative by our president and, of course, championed in the Senate by Senator Schumer. And we both, Richie and I, voted for it in the House. And this is the results. The results of that effort is 2 elevators, improvements to platform edges, including new tactile strips, fare control areas, street-to-platform stairs, new station-wide fire alarm system, and replacement of portions of the track. So that's what we get for this station. Many people have complained to me here at this station that they needed an elevator, particularly moms carrying their little kids, seniors, folks in a wheelchair. They're all concerned about accessibility to this train station. And so this money will allow folks to get access to the train station. And of course, this is important for this particular station and the future of the Kingsbridge Armory. Thank you for that. There's also 2 additional stations on 145th Street, the A, B, C, and D lines. Those will get 3 elevators and customer circulation improvement. Also, new station-wide fire alarm system, replacement of the track, as this one is getting installation of new artwork as well. And 110th Street in the southern part of my district, yes, Senator Schumer, I go all the way down there. And Second Avenue Subway, you're going to get 2 elevators, street-level stairs, a new fare control area at the platform level, improvement to platform edges, including tactile strips, a full replacement of the tracks, a new fire alarm system, and of course, new artwork. So those are the 2 stations. Richie will give you an update on the 2 in his district, which are 167th Street and Wakefield. That's both yours, right? Yep. And so thank you, Senator Schumer, President Biden, of course, the MTA, who does the groundwork to ensure that we have accessibility. Esta estación de tren va a recibir 2 elevadores nuevos, una iniciativa de 156 millones de dólares para 5 estaciones de trenes, incluyendo en mi distrito esta de Kingsbridge, la de la 110, el tren 1, y la de la 145 del tren A, B, C y D. Con nuevos elevadores aquí, las personas en silla de ruedas y otros podrán tener accesibilidad al transporte público. Le damos las gracias al senador Schumer, a mi colega Richie Torres, a Jan Oliver de la Autoridad de Tránsito, los dos concejales que son Oswald Félix y Pierina Sánchez, también el señor Colora de la Administración de Transporte Federal y Kemel Arroyo, que es alguien que aboga a favor de las personas que necesitan acceso al transporte público. Gracias. Let's ride this train. Goes down, Richie. And with that, I represent a young man with a bright future in the state of New York, someone that makes us proud in Washington. He represents us with distinction, and someone that represents the South Bronx and the rest of the Bronx. I'm proud to call him a colleague and a friend, Congressman Richie Torres.
Thank you. And I should note that my photo there is extensively airbrushed, hence the age difference. But I'm proud to partner with Congressman Adriano Espaillat, the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, US DOT, the MTA, and all our state and local officials to announce $156 million for 5 stations, and the majority of those stations are going to be right here in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, in the West Bronx, in the Northeast Bronx. You know, as elected officials, as Bronx elected officials, we are judged by the dollars that we bring here to the Bronx. And as the 2 members who voted, the 2 members of the Bronx delegation who voted for the bipartisan infrastructure investment, we have seen hundreds of millions of dollars in infrastructure funding flowing into the Bronx, billions of dollars flowing into New York. But none of those investments would be possible without the leader of our delegation, our Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who will be remembered as one of the greatest legislators in American history.
Not yet. I don't want to be remembered yet.
No, this is not a eulogy. This is not his retirement party. He's just getting started. But I cannot think of a greater expenditure of federal funds than an investment in the MTA. Public transit is the lifeblood of our city. But in order for public transit to be public for everyone, it must be accessible to all. It must be accessible to those with disabilities. The American Disabilities Act is one of the landmarks in American law. But even a landmark law is only as good as the funding behind it. And so we in the federal government are putting our money where our mouth is. We are putting the weight of the federal purse behind the civil rights of the disabled. And so the $156 million investment, it is a win for New York State, it is a win for the Bronx, and it is a win for the civil rights of the disabled who have been overlooked for far too long. So without further ado, you know, the New York delegation is only as good as its leader, and our leader is one of the greats, the incomparable Chuck Schumer.
Thank you. Thank you, and let me return the compliment. Richie Torres and Adriano Espaillat, I get to see all the congressmen. I don't know any who are more hardworking, more effective, more well-liked, and who better represent their constituents than these 2 great guys. Let's hear it again for Congress members Espaillat and Torres. Oh yeah, you're allowed to talk during the train. ¿Cómo estamos? And in Dominican, ¿cómo estamos? Oswald taught me that. But it's great to be here. First, I want to say I have fond memories of this train line. When I was a little kid, one of the highlights of my year, my mom would give me a bag lunch, and my friends, we all would go, our parents would give us 15 cents to ride the D line. It was then called the D line from Brooklyn, and get off at Jerome Avenue, pay 35 cents for the bleachers, and see the Yankees. And I even got a ball one time from, guess who? Hector Lopez. Was he Dominican? He was Puerto Rican, but I have still the ball from Hector Lopez. I also got a ball from Minnie Minoso. Cuban. He played for the White Sox. Wasn't a Yankee. But anyway, so I have fond memories of this line. But I'm so glad to be here, not only with Richie and with Adriano, but also with Michael Collada. He's the head of the FTA, of the Federal Transit Agency for this whole region. Geno Lieber, our great MTA chair. And of course, Oswald Feliz and Pierina Sanchez with her little beautiful baby is here as well. And the little baby will be able to get up this station very more quickly in her stroller because of what we're doing here. So I'm proud to be here. It's a great day. And as one of the legacies that Senator Moynihan left me when I became senator, he said, protect New York's transit dollars and New York's transit system. And that, with the great help from our Congress members, the only two in the Bronx delegation who voted for this bill, we've been able to do very successfully. And there are so many neighborhoods like this one in the Bronx and those in Manhattan are getting critical upgrades so more and more people can use the subway. When you can't use our mass transit, it's harder to get a job, harder for your kids to go to school, harder to see what's going on in the city. So this is like opening a beautiful vista. It's metal, it's steel, it's dos elevatores, I heard you say. But it's also opening up a whole vista for so many people who have been excluded over the years. In New York, we have the best and the brightest coming here from all around, and we welcome all the new people coming here. But some of them have needs that are physically limited, and that's where the money comes in. So my staff always gives me props, but the MTA beat me to the punch. But in addition, I'm holding up my little, guess how much dollars? 156 million. But that's just a small amount compared to the total amount we're getting the MTA for all kinds of improvements. But I made sure we wrote in the law that there was money to help people with disabilities, to help upgrade stations like this. And we're doing it all over the city. I was with Geno a while back with actually Speaker Hakeem, soon-to-be Speaker, Leader Hakeem Jeffries, dedicating a big station in Brooklyn at Jamaica, was it at Jamaica Avenue? Yeah. At Jamaica Avenue, where we're doing the same thing, and they're already building the elevators there. So this is really important for Kingsbridge Road, for 167th Street, for Wakefield 241st Street, and for 110th Street and 145th Street. There will now be greater accessibility, so it's a great day for New York. So let me say, Adriano always ends up in Spanish, so I have to mimic him, but for a little bit, poco. Accesibilidad para todos. No? Accesibilidad para todos, I know how to say. Thank you, everybody. It's great to be here with my pals.
You want to introduce me?
Okay, Michael Collada is, when we get the money, we got to make sure it comes to New York and is implemented properly. And the person who has great responsibility for that, along with Geno, is Michael Collada, who's head of Region 2 of the FTA. Michael.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Senator Schumer, for that introduction. On behalf of Federal Transit Acting Administrator Veronica Vanterpool, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and the Biden-Harris administration, I'd like to thank you all for being here today as we announce this historic $156.5 million investment in the New York MTA subway system to improve accessibility at 5 stations in Upper Manhattan and the Bronx. Today's announcement would not be possible without the hard work, dedication, and commitment of New York MTA Chair and CEO Geno Lieber. Geno, thank you for your vision and your leadership in promoting equity and advancing these critical ADA improvements for New Yorkers. Congratulations to you, to President Jamie Torres Springer, and the entire MTA team on receiving this historic award. I'd also like to thank our federal partners right behind me, led by the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Congressman Adriano Espaillat, and Congressman Richie Torres. thank you so much for your support of public transportation and for fighting the good fight down in Washington, D.C. to make sure that this federal money is coming into our region to improve the lives of all New Yorkers. I also would like to thank my team, my staff at the Federal Transit Administration, who work tirelessly to support public transportation in our region, in the Bronx and Upper Manhattan. Some of them are with us today, led by our senior engineer on the MTA's ADA program, Sheldon Soyland. Sheldon, thank you so much for all the work that you do. Today we're celebrating how we work together to help make our nation's oldest rail stations accessible to people with disabilities. And that when we say we are making federal investments to improve the lives of all Americans, we are making federal investments to improve the lives of everyone, including those with disabilities and those who live in underserved communities in places like the Bronx and Upper Manhattan. Of the MTA's 493 subway and Staten Island railway stations, only 147 are ADA accessible. That's significant because only 55% of seniors and people with disabilities live within a half mile of an ADA accessible station. And by improving stations like we are today to ensure everyone can ride, we are taking a major step forward towards promoting equity in our transportation systems. FTA is providing $156.5 million through the All Stations Accessibility Program, or ASAP, which was created by the 2021 Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. ASAP was designed to help transit agencies improve accessibility at rail stations built before the Americans with Disabilities Act came into law in 1990. The program supports renovations like installing elevators, tactile warning strips, handrails and landings, new braille and tactile signs, audio-visual systems, and improved platforms for level boarding. These are all features that were not required when stations like Kingsbridge Road were built way back in 1933. So today's announcement is truly significant and historic. We appreciate MTA's commitment to modernizing its system and bringing it up to ADA standards. Today's announcement represents another example of how the federal government is investing in transit infrastructure and improving the lives of all New Yorkers in our region. And with today's announcement, since 2017, FTA will have invested more than $3.3 billion to help make 66 of the MTA subway stations accessible. That is remarkable. $3.3 billion. Yeah, we need to celebrate that. And thank you again to the Senate Majority Leader and Congressman Espaillat, Congressman Torres for fighting for that funding so we could deliver for New York. We recognize how important these improvements are to workers and residents in the region. Thanks to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, we have more opportunities to support accessibility across New York. I'm looking forward to the day when we can cut the ribbons on all these stations at Kingsbridge Road, Wakefield 241st Street, 167th Street, 147th Street, and 110th Street at all those stations. Again, congratulations to Jano, Jamie, the New York MTA, Governor Hochul, all the public officials gathered here today for receiving this award. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
We're blessed in New York in many ways. This is the most amazing city in the world, but what we're doing in transit, and we are transforming the MTA mass transit system, especially with respect to accessibility, would not be possible without amazing leadership in Washington. Chuck Schumer has to leave, but I need everyone to understand, this is our guardian angel in Washington. Bless you, Senator Schumer. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for making it possible for us to make the MTA system truly accessible and invest in infrastructure nationally under President Biden. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Bye, Richie. Thank you guys for having me.
So we got a lot of public officials here. There are no public officials who work harder alongside Chuck Schumer in Washington than these two congressmen. I'm not going to get into details, but let me just tell you, there's a ton of stuff happening at the MTA capital program. We're building like never before. And because of Adriano Espaillat and Richie Torres, we are getting the money under Chuck Schumer's leadership to support a capital program that Governor Kathy Hochul has made a top priority a signature item in her administration. This is cooperation and collaboration at the highest levels. New York could not function because of our density without this amazing mass transit system. It's one of the very few things that makes New York affordable, and that is why I am so passionate about this accessibility initiative. It is essential that everybody, for those reasons, be able to use our mass transit system. Seniors, parents with strollers, tourists with luggage, and yes, people with disabilities. But it's everybody is going to become a person who needs accessibility eventually, and we need to prioritize it. We are building accessibility, ADA, into our system at 5 times the pace of prior MTAs, 5 times as fast as the prior MTA. We have 67 projects under development and construction, and some of them finished as part of this capital program. There are literally 60 in process right now, and we're committed to maintaining that pace until the entire MTA system is truly accessible. This $156 million investment from these federal partners, combined with local funds, some of which are going to come from congestion pricing, it's going to help us finish 5 stations. Now here's the punchline. MTA doesn't usually get its share of federal money. We are 17% of the overall federal transit pot. But on this program, this special program for ADA accessibility, we're actually getting 40%, which is about our percentage of the overall mass transit system in the United States. So thank you for setting a new standard, federal partners. We need to really acknowledge that this is a milestone. I'm just going to close one more time without getting into all the details by thanking Adriano Espaillat for making 2nd Avenue Subway a reality. We're under the process. We've got the first contract underway. We've got the second and third contract in process, and we want to go. And my friend Richie Torres, who is a supporter of congestion pricing, has also helped us to make sure that it is going to be done in a way that preserves all of the things we value: air quality, health, mass transit for the Bronx. And I want to thank you for your tremendous leadership on all of that. With that, I just want a final shout out to our friends at FTA. You heard from Mike Collada. He's doing an amazing job. And also our friends in the City Council, represented by these 2 great council members here. Not last, those accessibility advocates at the back of this group are doing amazing work. They're our partners. They're not just advocating. They're our partners, and we bless them every day. Thank you. And not to forget the one and only MTA Chief Accessibility Officer, Guamel Arroyo.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Jano. I want to start by giving a warm thank you to Representative Richie Torres and my brother, my Dominican brother, Adriano, who is leading in Washington, not only for all New Yorkers, but especially for the Dominican community. Thank you for all that you do. It's truly miraculous how much you are able to advocate for us day in and day out. But like Jano said, I want to give a shout out to the advocate to really keep our feet to the fire, keep us honest, and ensure that we push every day. So thank you so much for being here with us today. There is no coincidence that we're here in front of the Armory. You heard from the congressman earlier, this will become the economic center of the Bronx. And that should be available to all New Yorkers, including aging New Yorkers, and of course, New Yorkers with disabilities, who are all entitled to the quality of life of their choice. And when this station becomes accessible and this Armory becomes an amazing beacon for the Bronx, everyone will have equal access to it. As Chief Accessibility Officer, it is my honor to oversee the MTA's broad vision for accessibility across our entire network, including the subways, buses, the Long Island Railroad, and Metro North, and of course, our Access-to-Ride program, our paratransit operation. The bus systems at the MTA, which was the first bus fleet in America to be fully accessible, has always moved people with disabilities. But bringing that same utility to the rails is not easy, nor is it cheap. We all need to chip in, and we need all the help that we can get in retrofitting our 100-plus-year-old infrastructure to meet the needs of today's commuters, including wheelchair users like myself, our ever-growing tourist population, Last year, we saw over 60 million tourists here in New York, a lot of them with access needs. And of course, our aging population. For the first time in history, New Yorkers are looking closer to 18 and older than ever before. And as we age, we all have access needs that Jano mentioned. And we want to deliver an accessible transit system for every New Yorker to age in place, to age with grace in their communities that they live, that they help build. And that means allowing them to move around on their own time. As Jano said, we're moving faster than your previous MTA, 5 times faster than previous MTA administrations. That's incredible progress. But until we get 100% system-wide accessibilities, riders can continue to take advantage of our paratransit service, which has been knocking it out of the park lately. Ridership is more than 20% than last year, nearly 400 daily trips, moving more people than we have ever carried before, including before the pandemic. And customer satisfaction is at a breaking record at 80% ratings. We're doing so well that we're actually tightening our standards that we use to measure on-time performance, even higher than that threshold that MTA requires us to do. We want paratransit and all MTA agencies to keep thriving, and it is clear we have the support we need in Washington to make it happen. So thank you both again for being here. Unas cuantas palabras en español. Para mí es un gran placer estar aquí con Richie Torres, con nuestro hermano, el congresista Adriano Espaillá, representando esta nueva inversión, $156 millones invertido para el acceso, porque nosotros entendemos que el acceso es universal, no solamente para esos padres con coches, esos neoyorquinos envejecedores, los turistas que también necesitan el acceso, pero para neoyorquinos como yo, con discapacidad, que todos merecemos ese acceso a una calidad de vida que nosotros queremos. Así que para mí es un orgullo representar a la MTA y asegurándome que este dinero se invierta efectivamente para darle acceso a todos los neoyorquinos. Mil gracias y estaremos aquí otra vez cuando abramos esta estación siendo accesible para todos. Un placer. I'd now like to call to the podium my friend, my sister, Councilwoman Pirina Sanchez.
Hey. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Councilmember Pierina Sanchez, and I represent Kingsbridge and Fordham and University Heights. And first and foremost, I grew up. This is my childhood train station. It's my current train station. But the only thing that I can think of today, as Congressman Espaillat, Congressman Torres, Leader Schumer, Jano Lieber, that you all bring this amazing $156 million investment, is of my mom carrying groceries and a stroller while hauling 2 kids up and down these stairs to get onto the station. That is who we're serving today. All of the individuals, all of the parents, all of the individuals who have accessibility needs, we're serving them. And not to mention that in the Bronx, just 1 year ago, January of last year, only 20% of our stations were ADA accessible. 20%, 1 in 5 is not accessible to anyone with those mobility needs. And this is a great step in the right direction. So I thank you, I thank President Biden, I thank you all for recognizing that there are individuals with accessibility needs at every station. There are mothers like me with my little baby in the back in the stroller who are hauling so much weight up and down these stairs or unable to take transit when we need to in every single station. So this is a very big, major step in the right direction. Thank you for this investment.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am New York City Council Member Oswald Feliz, proudly representing District 15, which starts on the other side of the concourse. And today, Wednesday, May 29th, is the perfect day to celebrate $156 million directly towards train systems. I want to start by thanking everyone who made this possible. Our wonderful Congress members. The Bronx has so many wonderful Congress members, including Congressmember Adriano Espaillat, Congressmember Richie Torres, and of course, Senator Schumer, the MTA as well, and the US DOT. Thank you for making this a reality. Every single day, New Yorkers wake up early. Our students to get to school, our parents to get to work, and so much more. And it is crucial that our train systems work for them. Make sure that our train lines are properly repaired so that there's no delays. But also make sure that our train lines and systems are accessible to those that might, for example, have mobility complications. by making sure that that train station has an elevator so that they too could be able to take advantage of our train system. So it's really an honor and a privilege. I want to thank you all for making this a reality. We are building a city that works for everyone, regardless of your age, regardless of whether you're walking around with a stroller or for example, in a wheelchair. Our systems, including our public transportation, is accessible to you. Le quiero dar las gracias a nuestros representantes, Adriano Espaillá y Richie Torres. Gracias por asegurar que esto sea una realidad. Nuestros neoyorquinos se levantan temprano todos los días para ir al trabajo, para ir a la escuela y mucho más. Y es importante que nuestros sistemas de trenes trabajen para ello, asegurar que se muevan rápido como se merecen, pero también asegurar que sean accesibles. Por ejemplo, un elevador para padres que usen strollers para ir al tren o para donde sea. So, es un honor y privilegio estar con todos ustedes. By the way, I went to school right there, a minute away from there. This wasn't my train station because I used to walk to school. I live 2 minutes away from here. But a lot of my classmates used to take this train station, and it's really proud, really honored, and really thankful that this was finally made a reality. Thank you for voting yes for this and making this a reality for the Bronx.
All right. Thank you all. Any questions, preguntas? Any question from media? Anybody?
Congressman, I believe we have a question here from New York One, Samantha Liebman.
Samantha.
How long will it take to build these subways, build these elevators? And also I have a question for Jano after that.
Jamie.
We're, as Jano said, we're expecting to award the contract for these 5 stations this year once we get congestion pricing locked up, which is also contributing funding to this. Then we'll come up with a specific schedule. It usually takes a period of years to get through all the work while making sure that we're running full service as much as we possibly can.
These packages, just talk about the speed that you've gotten on the other packages.
Yeah, so we have gotten, in this 5-year capital plan, we've got 67 stations going. We've completed 28 since 2020, and we expect to be continuing to work at that pace. It was mentioned 5 times any previous pace for making stations accessible to get these done.
And then my other question is for Jano, your reaction to Rich Davey being hired away from New York City Transit and what happens next?
Well, number one, I'm thrilled for Rich. He's a Bostonian, he's going home, and it's obviously a great job at the top of the transportation industry. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to Boston for bringing home their native son, even if it creates a momentary disruption for MTA, but here's the punchline. Demetrius Critchlow, the guy who's been running the subway system for the past 3+ years, is taking over as interim transit president. Demetrius, 27-year veteran of the MTA, a 3rd-generation MTA transit professional, and he's the guy who's put us on the map for having the highest ridership of any transit system, I believe, in the country relative to pre-COVID numbers, the strongest on-time performance, and Demetrius is ready to step up and be to take the reins as the interim president of New York City Transit as of whenever, in a couple weeks when Rich cycles out to Boston.
Do you have a date when he's resigning?
It's the next couple of weeks. I think it's literally in roughly 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. But the point is, as of today, we have a clear handoff. The baton's being passed, and we're in good shape.
All right, Mr. Congressman, any more questions? All right, right back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today. Let's ride that subway.
Thank you. Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Jamie. Nos vemos.